All right, we are back with the top 5 for Lionel Richie and the Commodores.
Can't forget the Commodores.
We're gonna talk about our top 5 Lionel Richie songs. We're gonna talk about our top 5 Commodore songs. Let's actually start with the Commodores.
Oh, throwing a curveball here.
Yeah, let's start with the Commodores because, I you know, I think a lot of the stuff on the Commodore's best stuff is almost as memorable to me as Lionel's best stuff.
Yeah, I would agree
And
with
you and
that.
I had talked about this a little bit, which is, when we talked about the Lionel album, what were my parents listening to in 1982? And I still cannot really answer that question, but I will say that I remember when we got cable and there was MTV and there was VH1. One thing my dad did do was he would just sit there and watch MTV all night and he would record the videos of the songs that he liked. And so we had multiple VHS tapes of just music videos. And so I
Nice.
would I would kind of just be curious and scroll through and see what some of these songs were. And I very clearly remember the video to maybe my favorite Commodore song ever, which is uh Lady You Bring Me Up. Because of the video of them at the park, and then all of a sudden, they're just playing soccer for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah.
Like, that is such a clear memory for me, and because of that memory, I've always really loved that song. So that is definitely in my top 5, and that is all based on, just being a little kid and finding this random video of these dudes just playing soccer.
Hmm, that's too
So,
funny.
what would you I'll go. I'll do that. I'll say that is one of my top 5. I mean, I think Brick House is going to be in both of our top 5s. I'm guessing
It is not.
it is
It
not.
is not.
Wow.
Man, you know what? So because of when I was born and sort of my introduction to music, Brick House got a lot of play in my house when I was a little kid.
Absolutely.
Um, and I think I've just kind of worn off of it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
To me, it's just like a party song.
it is 100%. I mean, you still people birthday parties, wedding dances, all that stuff. Somebody's gonna play Brick House.
All right. So I named 2. Why don't you name a couple
All
on
right.
your list?
So I actually wrote down my
There you go.
choices this time around because I didn't want to forget anything. Um, so my number 5 actually was "Lady You Bring Me Up,"
Hmm.
uh, which is just kind of a fun up tempo song, and you don't really associate up tempo with Lionel Richie, but
Yeah.
it's like a good grooving song. And I also remember that video. Uh, I don't remember her name off the top of my head. The Asian lady with the long hair from Soul Train was in that video.
Hmm.
And also, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here. You've probably seen the video more recently than I have, but there used to be Commodores. So the Commodores are one of the first music groups or music artists out that had like a jeans line. They were Commodore's jeans.
That's what Lionel said.
Yeah.
Not only did Lionel say that, he said he gave Michael
Michael
Jackson a
Jackson
pair
some
of
Commodore's jeans.
jeans.
Yeah, yeah.
He said because Michael would just, like, wear some stuff that didn't necessarily fit, so he's like, "No, Mike, here's some Imma give you these jeans," and, so yeah.
Yeah. I have to rewatch the video after we're done talking, but I think there's some girls with their butts out wearing like Commodore jeans with Commodores like the Commodore's logo stenciled on like the back pocket or something like that.
That's pretty cool to have a jeans line.
Yeah, back in the early '80s, like nobody was doing that.
Mhm.
Like I don't think there were Mick Jagger blue jeans or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. Um, my next choice is actually from the same album that Brick House is on. It's an album cut, but Lionel talks about this in his book, and he calls it, says people call it the Black National Anthem. The song is called Zoom,
Mhm.
um, and Zoom is just one of those songs that it's kind of about like escaping life and being at peace in your heart and soul. And that song has always felt very spiritual to me. So, that made my top 5.
So the other 3 songs in mine kind of tell you why I like the Lionel stuff so much is because they were all the songs that I'm sure the Commodores were like, "Another one of these." Like, "Just to Be Close to You," "Easy," and "Three Times a Lady." Now, "Three Times a Lady" is a little too much for me, but at like you were saying with the "That's What Friends Are For" song in the previous episode where you just heard it and you were like, "Why did it make me feel this way?" Even though I don't really like this song. Like, as I was going back and listening to all these Commodore songs and all these Lionel songs, I just kept going back to that song, just thinking like, "Why do I like this song so much?" It's not really like I didn't find it to be like a great song, but it was just something that was just stuck in my brain the whole time.
Interesting. You know, when I think of Three Times a Lady, the first thing that pops into my head is Eddie.
Re Oh, yes.
For buckwheat,
Buckwheat,
three,
buckwheat.
three times a mating.
Yeah, but, like, it just shows you, like, the Commodore stuff, and it's probably because of what just became popular or what became a little bit more well known because I'm a little we both are, young for that time frame.
Yes, yeah.
Um, but those are the ones that stuck with me. But I will say, I added one just as an aside because I was asking you about this. I really like the song Night Shift,
Mm,
and I didn't realize that Lionel wasn't even on that song because it was post Lionel. It was like their big hit post Lionel.
right. It's really interesting. They, after Lionel left the group or whatever, however that situation happened, they put out a greatest hits album, and they had a couple of new songs on it with some other dude singing. Then they put out another album with I think a completely different dude singing that didn't do very well. And then they got this guy JD Nicholas, who is a British singer, who has a very very strong facial resemblance to Lionel Richie.
Oh, wow.
And they put out Night Shift, and Night Shift is a song that was composed about Jackie Wilson and Marvin Gaye, who had both passed away earlier in
Mhm.
1984, and it was a tribute song to them. And it became a huge hit. Commodores won a Grammy. The only time the Commodores ever won a Grammy was for that song, with or without Lionel Richie. Um, so it just kind of became this big defining single for them, and then they never were able to really follow it up. Um, but another thing I find interesting is that at the same time Night Shift was a hit, there was a song called Missing You by Diana
Mhm.
Ross,
Mhm.
which was also a tribute to Marvin Gaye, which was
Yep.
written by Lionel Richie.
Yes. Yes. That is I did not put those 2 together like you just put that together.
Yep,
That's
those songs
that's
were hits at the same time.
wow.
So that's a really interesting thing.
Alright, what is your, how does the rest of your top 5 round out for the Commodores?
So two out of the three actually matched with your last three. I had Just to Be Close to You at number three, which I don't know. The You hear the country come out of Lionel in that song because there's a little spoken word piece, and he's like, "Oh, I thought my life had so much value. I guess I
Right.
never really had no value at all." And I'm like, "Oh man, this dude could have been like a preacher or something." And my number one was Easy,
Mhm.
just because that's such an amazing song. And in between those, I put Sail On. And there's a
Yes.
passage in the book where Lionel details a conversation that he had with Chris Rock about Sail On.
Mhm.
And even before I read that passage in the book, it always struck me as interesting how Sail On is sung so sweetly, and the lyrics are so beautiful. But basically, in the lyrics of the song, Lionel is telling his girl, like, fuck off. Um, like, I'm through with you. I'm giving you back your name. Would you please just go away? Like, get out of my life. But the way it's sung, you don't even necessarily like hear that right away.
Yeah, and
Uh,
he even says it that, people like, the way that people interpreted that song was because Lionel's a nice guy, kind of, so,
right. But
yeah.
that's not a it's not a nice sentiment. Or I mean, look, people break up. Like it's not a not nice sentiment, but it's just not the typical like love song.
Right, right, right.
Um, and Destiny's Child covered that song on their first album.
Oh gosh, I need to go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk about our top 5, Lionel. I have, 2 songs in here that are actually fairly recent. Now for Lionel, they're fairly recent. I mentioned one of them already, "I Call It Love."
Hmm.
It is really one of my favorite Lionel songs.
It's a good
Um,
song.
and another one, and this will make you laugh, "Stuck on You," but I really love the version with him and Darius Rucker
Oh,
together.
okay. I think I listened to that Tuskegee album once and never picked it back up. Makes perfect sense for Darius Rucker and Lionel Richie to do songs together.
You know what it reminds me of a little bit is, and not that Carlos Santana sang on this song, but when Michael and Carlos Santana for the Invincible album,
Whatever happens.
at the end where they thank each other,
Yeah.
right? And so they do the Lionel and Darius Rucker do that. Like Darius Rucker, he kind of he oversings a little bit on this song as he is wont to do
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
but I think it was like this is really nice moment for him to do something with somebody who's like so iconic like Lionel and I'm sure Darius had similar experiences in being a part of Hootie and the Blowfish.
Right.
He did the One Soul album, but then he went country. So I'm sure he dealt with a lot of the same things Lionel did in kind of accepting the kind of music that they both enjoyed making.
Unquestionably, I don't think that there's a Darius Rucker if there is not a Lionel Richie. So there's a real direct lineage there.
Yeah, so I really like that a lot, and I'll just go through the rest of my 5, and then you can get to yours. Of c All Night Long, again, really corny, but, like, it is just iconic. Like, it's just like one of those things where you hear the beginning of it and you're like, "Okay, I'm here for the next 4 minutes." Like, I just have to. Like, it is I'm just hanging out with Lionel in this moment. Um the other one, we mentioned "You Are." I think that's probably my favorite song. And then I think this has been a recent thing. Like ever since I learned that Lionel wrote "Ballerina Girl" for Nicole Richie,
Hmm.
that song is just more meaningful to me because I'm like, man, like their story is so interesting. Nicole Richie is the birth daughter of Sheila E.'s brother,
Correct.
and I don't even know who the mom is necessarily, but that Sheila E.'s brother was going through some stuff with the birth mom, and Lionel and Brendan noticed that the little daughter was maybe not looked after all that well, and they asked if they could watch her, and then they ended up adopting her, and everyone kind of knows the Lionel Richie or the Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton story of the simple life and all of that, but Nicole has battled through some things and
Yes,
is
she
kind of
has.
come back, around on the other side, doing seemingly well from what I understand, and I love that story, and it just I don't know, for whatever that song, like, it just sticks with me a little bit more than when I heard it, like, back in the day.
So Ballerina Girl is one of those Lionel Richie songs that it's one of those corny ballads that I just can't like. I get why people love it. It
Mhm,
just doesn't, it hits different for me. And I'm just like, oh, this is like almost painfully corny.
mhm.
Um,
It completely is.
yeah.
It's a very syrupy
Yes.
song,
Yeah.
and yet it's probably, I now have stepdaughter. Like I can see the reason for that song, so much
Sure.
more, and
Sure.
so yeah, it hangs with me a little bit longer, a little bit more than it did when I was younger.
Right. So All Night Long did not make my list, but I will say All Night Long is the only Lionel Richie song I've ever sung at karaoke. And my preferred way to do karaoke is to get a private room. This was not a private room situation. This was a sing at the bar situation, and there was a wedding party, or I think maybe like a bachelorette party that was there. And they all came down and danced with me during all night long. So one of my most memorable moments um,
Nice.
has to do with that song. Um, so my top five, and I actually just made a change, were "Say You, Say Me,"
Mhm.
which was a one-off single that Lionel put out that was in a movie called White Nights that starred
Yes.
Gregory Hines and Mikhail Baryshnikov. Um,
Wild that that
yeah,
movie was
crazy to
made.
think a movie like that existed, but was a huge hit. It's a very unusual song. It kind of the first two-thirds of it is like a typical Lionel Richie ballad. Then it goes up tempo for like 30 seconds and then
Mhm.
goes back into the ballad. It's
He
really
he met he mentioned that it was a little hard for them to sell it to radio because of the change in the tempo,
yeah.
and he was just like,
I'm
"No,
Lionel
like,
Richie. I do what
yeah, it works,
I
like, you
want.
can't tell me what to do, I know what I'm
Yeah.
doing."
Um, Speaking of somewhat later Lionel Richie, he went away for a number of years. From like Dancing on the Ceiling came out in 1986. He released a Greatest Hits album in 92 and then didn't release another studio album until 96. So 10 years between studio albums, kind of at the height of his success. He
Mhm,
had to do some work on himself. Kudos to him for doing that. But that comeback album is called Louder Than Words, and it's actually a
mhm.
really good album. And there's a song on that album called Ordinary Girl, which was, I believe, written by Babyface. And it's just like, it's after a while, all of Babyface's songs kind of started to sound the same, and it definitely sounds like a Babyface song, but Lionel puts like the right stamp on it. And
Mhm.
it's just a very like, Lionel never oversings or anything like that. He sticks to the melody. It's just a great song, I think. Um, Love Will Conquer All, which was the single before Ballerina Girl, which has a little bit more tempo to it, has a kind of a cool, mellow vibe, similar to You Are, actually, which was at the top of my list. I think we've talked about that song quite a bit
Mhm.
this episode. And my fifth choice was Running with the Night, um, which I think part of the reason I love that song so much is because of the video. And it's one of those early 80s videos that doesn't really make a ton of sense. Um, but there's dancing and it feels like there's a wedding that gets broken up in the video, something like that. And Sheila E. plays Lionel Richie's love interest in the video. So tying the
There you
dot,
go.
connecting the dots from Sheila E. to Lionel to Nicole Richie, so on, so on. And Sheila E. also was on tour uh, as Lionel's drummer when Prince kind of was like, "Oh, hey, check you out. Let's make a record together." And they started hanging out. But yeah, it's I just have such fond memories of that video. And it's a cool little like we talk about the similarities between Michael and Lionel, and I think a lot of the people that played on Beat It played on Running with the Night. It's got the same like guitar solo and that kind of thing. So those are my five favorite Lionel songs.
You know, that might actually be cool is if we take our list of songs and,
Make a playlist.
yeah, just make some playlists for every single one of our artists that we talk about. That might be pretty fun.
I think that's a good
Uh,
idea.
I guess, you have both Spotify and Apple Music accounts?
Yes.
Okay, so that might be better for you to, because you're gonna be a better curator than me, but, yeah, it might be cool just to put it I think more people probably have Spotify than Apple Music.
Yes.
So it'd be ni maybe we should just put those together, and we'll just continue to do them, and then we'll post about them. I wanna make a note that, for those who aren't watching on video, 50for50.net is going to be our website where all of the episodes will also be up, as well as Mike's written
Yeah,
reviews
I'm
of
gonna write some reviews, man.
all of the albums we talk about. And so that will that's obviously, as people are listening, that is in existence as of this recording. We're still setting that stuff up, but once these are live, all of that stuff will be set up, so you can always check out everything that we do at 50for50.net.
Yeah,
All right, man. That's gonna be it from here. So
we did it.
for Mike, I'm Double G. See you when we see you.
Later,
Peace.
y'all.